Hello and welcome to the Keto Man's Club podcast.
We're glad you're here, where each week we talk about men's health and lifestyle.
We do so with the foundation of the ketogenic diet and lifestyle.
If you don't know what keto is, stick around and you'll find out.
The podcast will bring you real, honest fun.
Each week we strive to uncover the tips and tricks that you can use in your everyday life to maximize your overall health.
Find the clearest path to becoming the best version of yourself that you were meant to be.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Keto Man's Club podcast. My name is Chris. I'm one of your hosts, and as always, I am joined by Alberto and Jim. And this week, it's just us, which is kind of cool and something that we haven't done since the start. So,
I was not expecting that. I'm sorry.
I'm a little giddy. We'll get into why here in a minute. I'm probably high on the pre-workout, post-workout situation here.
Chris kind of took on that Sunday.
Yeah, well, sometimes it happens.
Okay, it's awesome. It's good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, how's it going, guys? I know I'm feeling good. How about you guys?
I have a new computer that works, and I don't have to pedal it to make it go. So I'm almost right up there with you.
That's a good thing.
Yes.
That's a very good thing. Alberto?
And, I'm actually sitting in my kitchen. So the good news is you don't have to listen to the whir of the air conditioner. Yes. The bad news is you don't know what you're going to get to hear.
Well, that's okay. It's just us around here. So, family is okay. Well, what's new with you guys this week?
Yay. I always talk about it's been a week at work, and I always talk about work, but I wanted to see if I could. This is a very unplanned thought, so let's see if I can make this all work. If not, we'll just have to edit it out later. Okay, so I paint cars. It's it's not a secret. Everyone knows. Everyone should know by now. And I literally head to toe safety gear because this industry was literally trying to kill me. So now, when the car painting world, I'm very well known. I've had cars in magazines. I've been in magazines. I was actually recorded to go on a TV show that never aired. Doesn't matter. That being said, this is what I do. This is what I'm known to do. So when I paint cars, I strap up head to toe. I'll post a picture of it so you guys see the gear. It's like 15 pounds of breathing gear, paint suit, gloves. Gloves are taped to my paint suit, full suit all the way to the floor. And it never fails. This is what I do. I go into shops, and every time I gear up to paint a car and I'm doing a service, this is what I do. Somebody has to make a comment about what I'm wearing and how I look like an alien or how I look like a Martian or how I look like an astronaut. And, we're all in the same industry, but it's apparently not, cool to be geared up and 100% safe in what you're doing. And the whole reason I want to tie this all together is, we've had a lot of our members talk about, having anxiety about going to the gym or, trying something new. And my point being is sometimes you just got to do it for yourself, man. If I was worried what these guys were thinking about me and I was afraid to put a paint suit on and throw my fresh air gear on, I would be in really bad shape right now. And my health would most definitely take a hit. So, man, worry about yourself and do what you got to do. Everyone else will come around eventually.
Absolutely. You put out the good example, and others will follow, maybe, possibly, if they're smart. So that's good. Jim, how about you?
It has been a hectic week or so at work, which has resulted in some skipped lunches, which has turned into this 18-hour fasting type thing, completely unexpected. Not every day, but enough that... okay, this is not a bad little situation at all. Hungry at night, which I know is not always ideal, eating, an hour or two before bed, because usually it's getting home, changing clothes real quick, going to the gym, coming back, eating, and then it's, 9:30, 10 o'clock. So trying to monitor and feel it out. I have not been 100% on Car November, and I've admitted that. And whatnot, just because of when you go to a lunch meeting and you have X number of options, you do what you got to do. So it's not that I have inhaled 3 pizzas or anything, but it's maybe the chicken or the grilled chicken salad, because that's what is going on kind of thing. So learning experience, definitely feeling not emotionally, but physically deflated a little bit. Shirts are looser and that kind of stuff. So there's been some movement, which I'm grateful for. And the Car November is actually, it's not that hard to do. A lot of people, some people are like, oh, I need variety and this, that, and the other. And it's like, well, I come home and, there's some pulled pork that's has no sauce on it. And I throw some, sugar-free sauce on, or make a couple grilled pork chops or something like that, and some butter and whatnot. And hey, life is not bad. So taking it and running with it, and we'll see how it goes at the end of the month.
Absolutely. That's a good call out. We are, by the time this is airing, this will be Thanksgiving week, actually, if we air this in order. So this will be Thanksgiving week, and so we're at Thanksgiving. So how'd you do? Did you eat the crappy food? Did you give in? Or did you not? And hopefully through Carnovember, you were able to lessen your cravings for sugar and sweet stuff along the way. And by doing so, when you saw that pumpkin pie or the pecan pie or the cherry or whatever your family normally makes, and with my wife's family, it's chess pie. Hopefully you find out that it just didn't have the same draw, and maybe you tasted it. That's not the end of the world. Just like Jim has said a few times about his grandmother's noodles that are unique to his grandmother's noodles. That's okay. That's fine. It's a small amount. It's not going to change or rock your world. But if you have lessen the cravings, if you keep the defenses up and you don't eat the whole pie or half the pie, that's a win in my book. Mm-hmm. Take a small piece, have a bite or two, share it with your wife, like what I'll probably do. It's all good. And so, it's all about perspective. It's all about looking at it. It's all about that. I haven't, the only thing that I haven't kept strong with on the Carnovember is there has been a couple of times where I'm like, I really want to eat something. I really don't have time to make anything. And I have keto bricks in my office closet. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have a keto brick. And so I have had a keto brick a couple of times now. And, that's out, technically it's definitely not carnivore, but it's also perfectly formulated to be the right macro proportions for high fat, low carb, and moderate protein. And so I'll take it. It works. And it didn't kick me out of ketosis. It wasn't sweet, at least not overly sweet by any means. Nothing that gave me cravings or anything. And so that was that. So I will go ahead and jump in and say what was new for me. Today, I got a little bit out of my comfort zone. Over the weekend, I won one of those silent auction things for charity in the area that I that I was at a banquet to support. I won a 30-day pass to a local Krav Maga gym. And so tonight I went and I didn't cash in my 30-day thing because I wanted to try it out, because if I needed to gift it to somebody else, I could, type of thing. But honestly, it was a lot of fun, and I probably really, really suck at it, but I felt good with getting moving again. It's the first time I've been in the gym or worked out in a couple months because my schedule has been insane of late. And so it was good just to get out and move and get active and kick and punch and get out of chokes. And it was very much out of my normal comfort zone because I'm pretty passive most of the time, and this is very aggressive. But it was a lot of fun, and so I will more than likely not more than likely. I'm cashing in my 30-day thing, and I'll be doing it for the month that I have free, and we'll see where we go from there. It's not cheap, but it's also not the most expensive thing in the world, and so maybe I can find it in my budget.
My question, real quick. Mm-hmm. So, you said a name? Is that the name of the gym that you're doing that, or is this type of workout? Because I've done a kickboxing program at a gym in my community, so I'm wondering if it's the same thing or if there's more of a karate type thing, or what exactly it is.
Okay, so Krav Maga is the martial arts, self-defense martial arts that were created by the Israelis, and so this is all like based on the Israeli art that the Israeli military uses, and it's all about self-defense. It's all about defense.
Interesting term.
It's also extremely, extremely aggressive because it's get out of danger, get your opponent down and out as quickly as possible. One of the drills that they had us doing today, and I only got about halfway through it myself with my partner, was choke getting out of the choke and then incapacitating your person by kneeing them in the balls a couple times. So that was it was interesting to see it and everything, but it was a great workout for an hour-long thing. It's right across the street, basically, from where I live. So it's like it takes no time to get over there, and they have evening classes, and as long as I budget the time for it, I should be able to do it, and it should be a lot of fun. So that's kind of what's new for me, and kind of exciting to get to do all that in the next coming days. So
nobody give Chris a bear hug anytime soon. Otherwise,
I'm sure that it's not.
Childbearing opportunities will be limited.
It's not innate by any means yet. Not yet. I'll as long as I see it coming, I'll totally take the bear hugs.
He prefers Care Bear hugs.
So Disney Plus. That's all I'm going to say. I haven't subscribed yet, but I'm probably going to subscribe.
Man.
They have all the classics. Oh my gosh, all the classics are on it. Anyway, that was completely random. At this point, it's just us. So let's go ahead and dig into our shout outs for the week. We've got a few of them actually this week, and so we'll go from there. Jim, how about you give us one, and then you had a couple, so we'll kind of bounce back and forth.
So the one that I want to give a big shout out, first of all, is to William Brown. And he probably is not catching this the week that it comes out because William Brown, by the time it does come out, has just gotten married. So kudos to him, number one, on getting married. But it's just awesome. So he posted on November 10th in the group, I did it. Holy bleep! I hit my goal weight before my wedding. I started keto at 398 pounds on August 1st, 2018. Now, again, this episode is being recorded in November 2019. Goes on to say, in 15 months, I've lost basically 215 pounds. Now, for some guys in our group, that's a target goal weight.
Mm-hmm.
He's lost that. Stick to it. It pays off. I'm getting married next weekend, and after the wedding, I'm switching some plans for muscle mass, blah, blah, blah. But he's under 185 pounds.
That's just
from 398 to 185. It is, you wouldn't even think it was the same guy in the before and after photos. And you wonder if he's even related to Mike Gorman based on the beard, but that's a story for another day. So, my first shout out, and we'll see how many more we get in, is to William Brown. Congratulations on your marriage, and congratulations on your health, brother.
Absolutely. Alberto?
Mine are kind of related, so they're going to have to go one and one. One of our fellow members, Brian O'Mahony, and I posted a picture of it. He's got I don't know if it's his full-time business or part-time business, but he makes some really, really, really cool, heavy-duty, 1.5-inch thick, about 20-pound butcher blocks. And the only reason I know this, because another member and a very long-time friend of mine, Dan Cortova, actually decided to buy me one without me knowing. I just get a text message one day. He says, "What's your favorite color? Don't ask questions." And so I told him typically blue or silver. I go, but in my head, I view colors as like car colors. So sure enough, a couple of days later, I get this box in the mail, and I'll even get to the point where like this thing comes like wrapped in butcher paper and like enclosed in twine, almost like an old-fashioned parcel, and it's got instructions, and it comes with a little tub of conditioner for it. Like, it's a really, really well-made kitchen utensil, and I'm going to use the hell out of it.
What was the purpose of the color again? Was that how it was wrapped?
Oh, the color, it's engraved. That's what's engraved with what is going to eventually be my personal logo, and it says El Keto Cholo on there.
Oh, okay.
Yep, that was really, really cool of them. So I am going to shout out Fred. We're just going to call him Fred because his name is not just Fred. And
P. Fred?
Yeah, P. Fred. And he posted a couple pictures of him in some older some of his like original jeans, size 60 Dickies, and he's down 75 pounds. He doesn't have any before pictures. He says, I was skeptical of keto. He's not anymore, and so he's doing an amazing job. He's got some more weight to lose, but we all have things that we are working on, so there's no shame in that by any means. And so it's really cool to get to see his progress that he's making and see how he's just progressing along. And obviously he's proud of the achievement that he's making at this point and the strides towards reclaiming his health that he's making. So good job on you, Fred. Let's go back around, Jim.
Next one I want to give a shout out is to Devin Woodle. Devin's a fairly newer member, I think, to the group, but he posted a photo up on Veterans Day, November 11th, said that he just joined the gym, first day back, hashtag 392 220. So, when you're at that size, it's, as we've talked multiple times in the show, it can be uncomfortable in the gym and whatnot. The other side of the coin is when it's your first time back, you may feel like I can conquer Mount Everest right now, and you might be able to get a good chunk done, but then the next day you're going to feel it. Mm-hmm. So my second shout out goes to Devin for jumping back in, not being afraid to do it. Kudos to all of the guys who not only encouraged him, but also shared words of wisdom, like watching electrolytes, watching salt, go easy and build into it, and all those kinds of things. Because nobody wants anyone, but especially no one wants anybody in our group to fail at this process. So just nice to see the support for Devin moving forward.
Absolutely. Alberto?
I gave you 2 for 1, man. That's all you get.
Okay. Well, so I don't have any other ones. So go ahead and go with your third one, Jim.
Oh my gosh. All right. So the third one is Andrew Uzel, if I'm pronouncing his last name right, Uzzel. He goes by Andrew_gets_fit on Instagram. And he posted a Transformation Tuesday photo this week. He's down 66 pounds. And he did the cool thing of recreating a photo. So it's actually, he's got this kind of funky one leg up pose. And I think it's the same. The shirt is 2 different colors, it looks like, but it's got the same imprint on the front. And he's got the same pair of pants on. But he's 66 pounds lighter. And so when you want those side by sides, I mean, if you can wear the pants that used to be tight that now fall off as soon as you walk down the hall kind of thing, that's what we got with Andrew. Yeah. So congratulations to him on 66 pounds down.
Agreed. Good job on him. So let's go ahead and dive into a topic real quick. It probably won't take long because you two don't do any of this, so this will mainly be just me.
And we're going to take a break.
But one of the topics that's come up in this week, and I think it's a good topic because a lot of people either just getting started or that haven't actually dug into the science of this. They do the tests, and it always starts with the urine strips, and then it may progress to Keto Mojo with the the blood testers, and then they found out about the breathalyzer, and they're like, okay, well, I've got to do that one too. And so it's come up a few times, and somebody this week, another Chris in the group was saying, okay, has anybody used it? According to the monitor, I'm doing great, all that type of stuff, but what does it really mean? Things like that. So let's start out with Alberto's take on this because, well, I kind of can predict what he's going to say.
Don't waste your valuable stake money on ways to test ketones unless you have a medical reason to do so.
I agree. I do waste the money, but as a general rule, I agree. I don't think it's
well, I shouldn't say don't waste the money. It's not mandatory. It's not necessary. If you get a kick out of it and it motivates you, then hey, rock on. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I'm coming up on 3 years rather quickly here. Since I started eating keto, and the only time I've ever tested was last year at KetoCon because we were all just standing in front of that one guy's booth and thought he had and it actually was a really cool little
Breath
app
tester.
and breath tester that he had. And like, tell you the truth, I blew in it. They were like, "Ooh, that's good." I don't even remember what the number was.
It was really high. It was really high.
And considering all the junk we ate, all the keto junk we ate the day before, I was actually super surprised that it was anything at all.
Yeah.
But I mean, the way I see it is, man, you keep your carbs, you're in. It's a guarantee. You don't really got to stress about it. You don't got to sweat it. Just you'll do it. And for me, it's as simple as like majority of my diet is beef and eggs. You stick with that long enough, you're in, man. There's nothing to really test for it unless you feel the urge to, but 100% not necessary.
Agreed. Jim, any thoughts?
I've never used them. I know it's been a topic of discussion in our group, and I've seen it in other keto groups and diabetic groups and things like that. Everybody is different. If you haven't recognized that in the number of podcast episodes that we've done and heard all these different stories, you have to find what works for you. So don't fully rely on a strip to tell you if you're doing the right thing or not. Somebody wrote this in the group earlier today. This is not a linear thing at all. This is not if A plus B equals C, then things just keep happening. You'll have up days, down days, different things like that. The main thing is staying the course, finding a good support group, and keep on keeping on. And that's where you're going to see the change and the numbers and everything.
Absolutely. So I am the tester out of the three of us. I've got both the Keto Mojo and a ketone breath meter that I use on occasion. The breath meter is nice because I can do it as often as I want, and it doesn't like run out, and it's the investment's already made. That's one thing that's kind of nice about it, because you spend the money once and it's done. So there are three different types of tests. I'll run through them very quickly, and I'll give the very short answer as to what each one does, and then why you would want to test them if you were to test them. I agree wholeheartedly with Alberto with his assessment. If you've got a medical need, so say if you're trying to fight off cancer or some type of autoimmune disease and you want those ketones sky high, measure them. But if you're just trying to lose some weight, just keep your carbs low. You'll be in ketosis. That won't be a problem. So that's the general reason why I started at the end, obviously. But for the P strips, those are a really good indicator at the very beginning of ketone production in general, because your body can't use the ketones yet. It doesn't know how to do that. It's not adapted. And so it will show a very high ketone level at some point in time. It will be like deep, dark magenta red, type thing. And that's whenever you know that you're creating ketones. That's a good thing. But very soon after that, generally, your body starts its adaptation, and that deep, dark purple starts going thinner and thinner and thinner until you see trace readings, according to the chart. What that means is that your body's actually starting to use the ketones that you're producing. Before that, it was creating them, but it didn't know how to use it, and so they were spilling out your body as your urine was coming out. So that's what was going on that. It's a really good indicator of, did I get into ketosis? But that's it. After that initial thing, pretty much worthless. But it's not granular enough of a result to be able to tell you. The next test that most people end up going for is the blood test. Keto Mojo does it. There's a lot of other blood ketone testers out there. Keto Mojo is just one of the more popular ones. Keto Coach is the other big one as well. And you prick your finger, kind of the same type of thing as you do with a glucose monitor, and you feed that blood into a strip, and that blood apparently interacts with an enzyme that's inside that little vessel, and then that creates a reaction that the strip then translates into an electrical signal, apparently, and then the reader gets those numbers off of that. And it can tell you how high your ketones are. If you're at 0.5, you're in ketosis. If you're below, you're either really low at that moment or you're not in ketosis. Everything above 0.5 is gravy. I had a day last week. It was the first time in forever I've seen anything above like 0.6 or 0.7, and it was 1.6. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I tested it again just like right away, because I was like, okay, either that's a bad strip or I'm just really high for some reason. What did I do different today? And so I tested again, got a consistent reading from that, and that was cool. But it didn't change my life or anything. It was just kind of cool to see 1.6. The breath ketone meter, they all measure different ways. The one I have just gives me a reading of 1 through 8. And most of the time, whenever I go, do the test, it will show me a 6 or 7. It still counts that as deep ketosis, and so I'll take it. That's good. What that measures is the acetone in your breath, and it's testing to see how much is coming out. Let's go back very quickly and talk about what that means. The ketones that are being tested in the blood is the concentration of beta hydroxybutyrate, which is one of the ketone bodies that our bodies create for energy and for providing things to our cells that they need. That beta hydroxybutyrate is able to be tested and measured by the ketone meter. That is a measure of storage, how much you have in the fuel tank, as it were. That's a really good thing to have. You don't want to have an empty tank, but again, if you have 1.6 like I had the other day, that just means that you're not using what you're producing. So you did something, you're producing a whole lot, but what did you do, and why isn't that being funneled into your body? I found the next day when I measured again, I was right back to 0.5, 0.6. That means my body, used what I produced, and that's a good thing. I would rather have 0.5 consistently and show that I have some stores, but that I'm using it, than have a really high number and feel like I'm not actually using it. The breath test with the acetone is more like your fuel efficiency. It's what your body has used and the byproduct of that. It's the exhaust out the exhaust pipe if we're talking about a car. And so it's your measure of how efficiently your body is actually utilizing ketones. That's why that one's good. They all measure different things. So none of them are bad in and of themselves, but each test is for a different reason. They aren't linear. People ask sometimes if, what is the equivalent of a glucose to a breath test? And there isn't one because they measure different things. So that is my hopefully semi-short monologue on ketone testers. Hopefully that was informative for those of you who are interested in such things. I use it because I like metrics and I like numbers, and they are kind of cool. And so that's why I do it. It is a little motivating to me on some level. Okay. And on to today's topic. So I'll leave it to Jim. So what is our topic today, huh?
Well, I can't even do it credit after that intro that you did 5 minutes ago. I don't even know how to start. We've talked about how this group has evolved since it was formed in April 2017. By the time this is posted, we're over 3,000 members, which is a huge milestone. So that's part one of all of this. So thank you to all the men who have joined the group and who have just shared their life stories in so many different ways. But my huge thanks to the co-host on this show, Alberto and Chris. This is going to be episode like 27, I think, 28,
sounds right.
Somewhere right around there.
Yep.
And the second week of November, we crossed 10,000 downloads. I'm amazed. I am just amazed. And yeah, so thanks, Chris, for building up my intro. That don't turn off the podcast, listeners. Please stay with us.
Yeah.
It is awesome. I never, ever, ever, ever expected this. And 10,000 in 25-ish shows is just fantastic.
It really is. I've had the opportunity to be able to help launch a couple shows at this point through the podcasting stuff that I do. Mm-hmm. And our numbers are very much on par with those bigger shows even. So thank you for our listeners. Thank you to those who have supported us. Thank you for those who have contributed to our PayPal donation fund. It goes a long way. There are some costs that we've kind of been footing amongst ourselves, and for the different tools and the things that we use and to make the podcast happen. And so it really is a huge thing to see and to feel the support that we're getting all across the world. We have, I'm looking at the map right now, actually. We've had downloads this week. A couple are in Australia. We've had some in, that looks like maybe the Malaysia area. We've got some India, some Japan, Africa. No, that's in Mumbai. So several downloads are happening in Europe and in Western Europe.
Those are all karaoke.
They're all yeah. Most of those are probably Carl K, the most interesting man in the keto world. And then we've got a lot of people in the United States and in Puerto Rico, apparently. So thank you, everyone who have tuned in and who continue to support and download. It's not about the numbers, although the numbers are really nice to see. It's about
these are numbers that we want to grow. We don't want to lose these numbers like we talk about in the Keto group.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's about seeing the potential for change lives. We don't do this essentially for free because we just kind of like to talk to each other, even though we do enjoy getting to talk to each other. You know, as you can see in this episode, we're just kind of making it up as we go along. But at the same time, we do it because we have learned that there is another way to be able to reclaim your health, to be able to find ways to optimize and become the best version, what we were meant to be, exactly what we say in our intro for every podcast, the best version of ourselves that we were meant to be. So that's a really cool opportunity, and to see that you, our listeners, have been reacting to that and sharing, and all of that has been huge wind in our sails to keep us moving, to keep us going, and all of that. Alberto, you've been too quiet.
Oh man, I've just been I was going to say sucking it all up, soaking it all up. 10,000 downloads is a big deal, and I was watching that thing like it was a news ticker, and I just kept taking quick screenshots, sending it to you guys, and we're getting closer and closer. And it just so happened when I happened to check it the one last time, it was at 10,000 on the dot.
Yeah,
so I was able to screenshot that little number. But no, it's great. Like I said, I had made a post about it saying like we're just kind of decided to start doing this and kind of like, well, let's just kind of start recording stuff, and either it's going to turn into something or it's not, and we'll just kind of go with it, and here we are. It's turned into something. 10,000 downloads later, worldwide, which I don't know in podcast terms that might not be a big deal or not, but I mean, I personally don't know many people that can say that.
Yeah. Well, it's again, I've compared the numbers, and I won't name my other clients in this case, but well, our numbers are on par with the. Go ahead. What now, Jim?
I said name them. It's okay.
Well, we aren't quite to Fatfield family levels, but we're doing pretty darn good for where we're at. I'll say it that way. So, it's been pretty cool to get to see this from the other side of the mic, because normally I'm just kind of doing the post production stuff, and now I'm getting to actually share some of if not a lot of the things that I've learned along the way, listening to the thousands of hours of podcasts that have been mainly keto related over the last couple of years of editing that I've been doing. So I've soaked up a bit, and I relish the opportunity to get to share that knowledge as best as I can, or point you in the direction of those who can give the real knowledge if I don't know it myself.
The one thing that has amazed me in this group is that when it started, I was kind of doing some subtle recruiting for members. I would find these different groups online or on Facebook, and you'd see a guy who dropped 50 pounds or something, and I would say, hey, congratulations, come share your success in tagging the Keto Man's Club. And it was never an overt, hey, this group sucks and our group is awesome kind of thing. It was just a very subtle type thing. up until about 2 weeks ago, we have done no paid advertising for our group to get the word out. This has simply been a niche that guys are finding when they go search on Facebook for keto man or keto diet or whatever the case may be. So the fact that we have accomplished 3,000 members, that we have tripled our numbers of likes on the Facebook page for the podcast in the last week or so. We're trying to put the word out a little bit more because we want to share the success of the members of the group and the guys who are on the show and whatnot. So the more the merrier kind of thing.
Yeah.
I like I said at the beginning, I'm just amazed at these two big milestones that we've accomplished in under 3 years. And it's all been, for the most part, pretty organic, that people like what we do. We have a lot of our members who will request will add their friends to the group because they're following the keto way of eating and whatnot. So you don't invite your friends to a party that's boring or that you want to get out of early. You invite your friends because, hey, this is a good time. This is a good group of people. There's cheese dip, whatever you want to call it. So
we have brisket.
Right.
Yes, lots and lots of brisket.
There you go. That's it. And I do think that at some point there may have to be some sort of informal keto men's club, almost like the Real World of MTV years ago. We're going to have the Keto Men's Club #Texas, because there's always like 5 or 7 new guys every time we do a Welcome Wednesday post that are somewhere in Texas. So we might as well just have that, the behind the scenes real world experience kind of thing of what's going on down there.
Yeah, it's easy to do carnivore in Texas. I can say that very honestly, and Alberto can yell it from the rooftops.
Oh, I've said it. Like, Texas was built for keto, man. Keto was built for Texas. Anywhere you go, like down here, breading chicken wings is a sin. Like, if you go somewhere and ask if they have bread on their chicken wings, they look at you like, "What kind of question is that?"
Yep.
Are you from Indiana? Well, yes, I am. Okay, that's right.
Yeah, it's really it really is nice to get to meet so many members. We still haven't yet to get with one of our latest Texas joiners. At this point, we've had a few texts back and forth to try to schedule something, and we just haven't made it happen quite yet. But we're all for getting together as often as possible, and I honestly think that that's the case everywhere. I don't think that's just in Texas. I think it's just we make a big deal out of it. Being from
you
Texas.
mean Texas screams the loudest? You got to be kidding me.
Well, everything's bigger and louder in Texas. So this Kansas City boy has been fully adopted into the Texas family at this point. So yeah, it's really great to be able to be down here and to get to connect with so many people, both in person and in virtually across the nation. It's great to do that. Let's do this. We're at about 35 minutes right now. So let's continue talking about the future. I know we haven't even had the chance to really lock in things, but let's talk about our vision going forward. We're 28 episodes in at this time, more or less, I think. And so, we're still just kind of getting started, but we're also feeling the desire to swivel and shift. And while none of these plans are set in stone, what are some of the things that we have going on? Jim, I'm going to let you take the lead on some of this, and then we can kind of bounce around from there.
Well, I think one of the things that has been repeatedly requested over and over and over and over and over again, we want swag. We want a shirt. We want a sweatshirt. We want this, and this. And I don't disagree with that. I want that. And the three of us and the other admins of the group have talked about this privately, about getting something created and done. The thing with that is that creating a logo, so to speak, is going to be part of a longer term project that I see for this group. And in doing that, I want to do it right the first time. I don't want to put out a logo that is okay, does pretty well, but it's not really conveying what we want things to be. So we're not there just yet, but we're real stinking close to it. So for the guys who are listening to this who have submitted some designs, because we threw it out to the group a while back. Hey, if you have some graphic um, design capabilities, here's what we're looking for. Throw us some ideas, and we'll take it from there. You all did great, and nothing was wrong with anything. It just simply it wasn't that this is it kind of thing. And during that time period, as you guys can attest to, we were talking about a full-on website, a full-on blog, doing some things that are beneficial to members. That they can take advantage of because of their membership in the group kind of thing. So not just to our podcast listeners, but actually guys who are in the group and, dialed in and all of that. So there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that happens that we want to dive into. And with all of that comes the whole legal side of things as well. And so I've taken on the personal responsibility of kind of working with an attorney and a small business development person and CPA and a couple other things of like, how can we do this in a good way that I can potentially help a lot more people in some way through the group, through the podcast. We've got some YouTube stuff that Chris may mention here in a moment. Some other things that, as we said at the start, these things cost money, and we've been fortunate we kind of footed some things and taking it out of the goodness of our hearts, if you will, to do a lot of these things. But as it grows, that's not always a possibility. So we're looking at how that we can do these things in a cost-effective way that we can continue spreading the word. I don't think we're going to have a Keto Man's Club magazine that comes out 6 times a year. You laugh, but now that I say that,
you never know. You never know. We're going to need more volunteers if that's the case.
now I gotta squash my proposal for the coffee table transformation book. Oh, you're quiet for that one, ain't you?
Go. I don't want pop.
Yeah, like kind of following what Jim was saying. Like the t-shirts. Yeah, we got some ideas in the works, and the good and bad thing of it is that we all got to agree on it. It's not just like one man's going to be like, this is what I like, this is what I love, that we're making this shirt, end of story, which is cool. It works out that way, and it's not a terribly huge group, and if we start turning out some shirts, and it's all going to turn around and go right back into this podcast. I can't think of very many people who got rich off of selling extremely shirts to an extremely small group, an extremely small subset of of the dieting world. I think they're out there. I think there's a market for it. I've got ideas that are for shirts that are going to come out, and it'll all fall underneath the same umbrella. It's just like I said, these things take time, and what's this thing? It takes resources, and what does resources mean? Resources means money.
Yeah, pretty much. And it is one of those things. That's why we put out the call for the PayPal donation bin that is still up. It's I believe it's in the announcements. If not, we'll make sure that it is at some point soon. And we're not trying to get rich. We really are not trying to get rich on this. But there are costs involved in the podcast and the tools that are used to help promote, to build, to edit, to record even. And so we're just trying to offset some of those costs that I've been myself and Jim and Alberto have been kind of eating at this point. Luckily, we have ways to somewhat offset that, but it's still not a full offset. And so your contributions are extremely beneficial and very much appreciated towards that. We want to be able to do the things that our group is wanting to do and help grow the group as best as we can. And it's not for fame. We're not looking to get famous. we're looking to help change lives. So. And that's what it's all about for me. And I have turned into a bit of a keto evangelist in this way. I am Christian. I'm evangelical in that regard as well. But I will I will spread the good news of keto because it's worth it for sure, and it's life changing and somewhat less controversial than religion sometimes. So, as long as you're not talking to a vegan. And I do know that there are people that are in the vegan community that make keto work for them. I don't know how you do it, but if it works, great. Good for you. Thumbs up.
Vegan keto. Wow. Okay.
It actually is a thing. Dr. Anthony Gustin wrote a cookbook for that very purpose, I believe. I would have to look up the actual name of it, but anyway, it's out there. It exists. I just am not one of those that would be possible for me. I just couldn't do it. Okay, I'm rambling at this point.
No, you're good. The other thing I want to throw out real quick, the success of the group we've always attributed to the members and their contributions, and we have never really limited the conversations in the group. Yeah, we get a few oddballs here and there that want to go off the deep end on some political rant or whatever. And hallelujah for Facebook, we can, mute them for a couple days. Or if they get really stupid and snippy, we boot them out of the group. Let's just be honest. We don't need that kind of stuff in the group. 99.9% of the time, everything is very encouraging and motivating of one another. The one thing, though, that has amazed me is how much the guys in the group have shared beyond keto. And we've all seen posts in the group, but I think we have all received the private email, the private message that is like soul bearing. Guys dealing with addictions to gambling, to sex, to drug addiction, to alcohol, to family problems, to losing a spouse, to parental issues, to kid issues, to job issues, to all these different kinds of things that have nothing really to do with keto. There might be an indirect connection in some way. If you feel like crap and you find solace in food because of all these things that I mentioned, or one or whatever combination of it, yeah, that does tie into keto a little bit. But it's kind of like I said a few minutes ago, jokingly, about the party where you want to be at. These guys are sharing some intense information and personal stories and struggles with one another that just kind of take a moment to sit back and like, okay, I've had a crappy day. It's not nearly as bad as what this guy has gone through. So I appreciate people who have reached out through the phone that Chris set up, through our email, through our website, through the Facebook group, whatever the case may be, where it's beyond keto, just to get some encouragement, just to be heard, just to feel like they can vent and feel comfortable with it. That is amazing. And I'm just grateful that anybody and everybody who has done that just to get it out and get it off their chest has done so. And I just wanted to throw that in there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually have a voicemail that I haven't read yet. I just brought it up. So you can call and leave us a voicemail. This is the perfect chance to give you the info on this. We have a voicemail. The phone number is 512-518-6161, and you can call and leave us a quick note. And this is an example of one of those. Hopefully it's a good one. The transcription's kind of bad, so that's why I say hopefully. Let's go ahead and listen to it real quick.
Hey, Keto Man's Club people. Brett Stapley here, keto.brett on Instagram. My whole thing is, I think we all need to talk about how we help everyone get on board. What I have, and I think there needs to be a podcast about this, and not necessarily me, but what I want to hear is, or we need to compile a list of, is when people come to you for help, which is inevitably going to happen to everybody that does keto and is successful, which seems like most of us here in the Keto Man's Club, we need to compile a list of the top 10 things that people want from you and how to react to those. Like, people ask me for a meal plan, and I think, no, I don't do a meal plan. I don't think you should either. But some people need that. So maybe there should be some sort of documentation we gather, like a run book for how to do keto that we can use collectively to help people and increase the welfare of everyone around us. 'Cause people do need to know about this, and it's easy to get in our own zone and say, screw everybody, I figured this out. But the truth is that people need to know about this. And if we figure this out, I feel like in some way it's our responsibility to share this with people and constructively help them rather than just sit on a high horse and say, hey, I figured it out, so can you. And I think there could be better ways of handling this than I've been doing in my life. And it's just something I can't deny anymore. That we need to figure this out. We need to figure out how to help people rather than, and maybe there's a whole nother Facebook group, I don't know, but figure out how to help rather than just how to help ourselves. We need to figure out how to help others. Anyway, rant over, and let me know if there's anything I can do to further this imperative, or if I'm on my own. Thanks, bye.
Okay, that was random, and it was awesome. I think it's right in line with what we've been talking about, actually. So that's kind of providence in that regard. And that actually is something that I've been thinking about. I know that we've been discussing it. How do we handle these people that try to apply to join the group but don't have a start? And we don't have an answer to that yet. We're working on it. We don't have an answer for it yet. I had a couple ideas last night that I'll talk with the guys, see if we can concrete them into place, because I think it might be workable. And honestly, for that, we might need some volunteers to help with that, because the three of us and the other admins of the group, we have full-time jobs, we have side jobs, we have other things going on. And so, being in a, already hyperactive group the way that we are, it does take a certain amount of time, and so it's kind of one of those things that we can only do so much. But I absolutely agree with him. I think that we need to get the word out. We need to find ways and resources to provide. There are a lot of resources out there, so getting a document together of already existing stuff is good, but there's room in the space for original content, and hopefully we can create that as well.
And I want to add here, because I did not catch the caller's name, and I don't know if
Brett.
I'm assuming he is in the group, since he got the phone number and everything. The reason that we don't let everybody in is not because we don't want them to be part of the group. When I started this, the idea behind it was there were so many groups out there to learn about keto and this way of eating. But yet it was, if you're in there, in those groups, those beginner groups, there's great information, and you can definitely get acclimated and you can get your questions answered. But then once you get settled into it and you know, okay, here's what I can do, here are my macros, here's what I should eat today, and blah, 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 you don't need to see the beginner questions over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. And that can actually become pretty problematic, because you're like, oh my gosh, I'm just repeating myself for the 700th time, trying to help people. So the Keto Man's Club group, I've used the analogy of, is like a 300 level course in college. When you have your 100 level, it is the intro level. This is the getting acclimated and so on. 200 level is like, okay, I'm kind of getting the idea, and I'll work through it and take the test and everything. 300 is like, you're pretty solid on this, and now you really want to dial in and customize it and everything to where you're at. So a beginner group is, again, something that we've been talking about and everything. It does require another level of moderation and planning and everything like that. And I want the integrity of the Keto Man's Club to remain solid. So opening up a second group, we've got to have the resources and everything, like Chris said. It may come down the line. We'll work on it as a group of admins and moderators. But I don't want anybody listening to this podcast for the first time, because we have had a lot of new people discover us in the last couple of weeks. I don't want people to hear this and be like, you mean they're blocking people? They're not letting people what's road, blah, blah. Nope, it's not that at all. We want you to do your homework and get familiar with things, and then come join us. And like, okay, I've dialed in on the macros and everything, but this isn't quite working right or whatever. And Alberto can give you great tips on working out. And Chris has all kinds of resources, and all the other moderators, all the other members of the group. There's all kinds of good stuff in there. We just want you to do a little bit of homework before you come in, and don't say, I want to do keto. I want to eat a bunch of bacon. Is that enough? No, there's a little bit more to it. I'm off my soapbox, Chris. Sorry, brother.
No, it's all good. Alberto, any thoughts on the voicemail for us?
I mean, it's great. Like I said, we've talked about it. It's definitely required. When I read that, I wasn't sure if he was talking about within the group or like personally, because obviously, if you eventually if someone comes up to you and asks you about it, and I mean, personally, I always just hand out a couple different resources, a couple different websites: dietdoctor.com, ketoevangelist.com, meatheals.com, and like I said, okay, start here and get back to me when you're ready for the next step. And I would say 9 times out of 10, I'd never hear from the people again. So either A, they're figuring it out on their own, or they just realize, you know what, this isn't for me. So, but I mean, I agree with what you guys were saying. I think an intro group to the Man's Club would be ideal. I think it's just a little more complicated to navigate than just throwing it out there and just kind of, we don't want to turn into like for lack of a better term, like a newbie free for all. Mm-hmm. It's got to have structure. It's going to have stricter rules. There's going to be like, at least my vision of it anyways, like there'd be like mandatory progress pictures, weigh-ins, meal plans, pictures of what you're eating. And then, once, and it's not saying you got to get to the master level before, you can get into the Man's Club. I'm just saying that like you, like Jim was saying, you've got to have an idea of what you're doing, at least be leading in the right direction. Be like, okay, well, I've got a couple weeks into this. I'm down 10 pounds. I'm struggling with something. All right, well, it looks like you got the hang of it. Let's step you up. Let's get your game to the next level and really get you working towards your goals.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly. So yes, very good. It's on the money ideas, Brett. We appreciate your voicemail. And for others, whether it's a comment, whether it's a question, we definitely want to encourage you, call in, leave us a voicemail that we can use, and either leave a question that we can answer, or it will give us a springboard to ask someone who's a subject matter expert to come in. And we do have one of those in the reservoir. I just haven't been able to schedule time with the expert yet to come on.
Surprisingly, they're busy.
Well, yes, he is very busy. This particular one works at the Mayo Clinic and then does epigenetic consultation on the side. So he's kind of a busy
You said
guy.
epigenetic way too easily, sir. That took me... What?
It helps whenever you listen to the audiobook and it's said about 30,000 times in the book. So yeah, it's that's something that we would love to hear from you guys, what you want to hear about, things like that, ideas, comments, questions. So thank you, Brett, once again for leaving us your voicemail, and we will be trying to nail down what we can in regards to all of that as best as we can. As Jim mentioned earlier, we do have a YouTube channel now. We'll make sure that we put a link to it in our link tree so that it's easy to get to. I have been just uploading the current episodes, and it's just the audio over kind of a semi-moving background. For those people who are at a computer and it's easier for you to access YouTube than it is for you to access our podcast page, it's a great thing for you. That's really what it's there for. Eventually, maybe we'll have more content there that's actual unique content, but right now we're not there yet. And so, at some point in the future, we'll see. It's there and in place. Of course, the URL or the address for it, I believe, is that you just search for Keto Man's Club, and that will find it. I'm pretty sure that that's all that you'll need to do. I'm not sure if it has a direct URL yet because it's so new. So please check that out. Subscribe for all the future content that may or may not be created because, well, life is hectic, and all of that. So, any other plans, any other future stuff that we want to talk about? We can probably start winding down. We've been about an hour at this point.
I will add one other quick thing. For the people who are listening to this program and listening to the podcast, if you have keto products, keto programs, keto books, keto people, anything that has been beneficial to you that you think we should consider having on as a guest, diving in more in some way, never hesitate to reach out to us. You can find our email on the Keto Mans Club the Keto Mans Club podcast. I'll get it out here in just a second. KetoMansClub.com. That's it. Website, and hit us up on Instagram, hit us up on the Facebook page for the podcast or group, whatever the case may be. Because those of you that are listening to this obviously are following the keto way of eating for certain reasons. And if whatever it's doing and it's helping you, it could help somebody else. We've had 20 plus podcast episodes with these different guests who have talked about dementia, who have talked about stroke recovery, who've talked about all these different illnesses and ailments and things, and keto has impacted them in a positive way. So we'd love to know who you're talking to or listening to or reading about, and maybe we can get them on the podcast and see if that can be beneficial to others. So that's the one thing I do want to throw out there.
So yeah, if you have any ideas or any comments, definitely reach out to us. You can do that a couple different ways. You can email us at ketomansclubpodcast@gmail.com. You can leave us a voicemail at 512-518-6161. We won't always, spur of the moment, pull it up and add it to the podcast. So sometimes it won't be quite as public. You can reach out to us on Instagram at Keto Mans Club Podcast. And that's the main things. You can check out all of our links and all of our different groups and sites and pages and all of the things that seem to be building up more and more at this time at theketomansclub.com. That is our Linktree website, and that kind of trees or roots out to everything else. Where we are, our socials and things like that. Let's go around the horn real quickly to recap. You can reach all of us through the Facebook group. Just tag us, Chris Duckett, Alberto Casillas, and Jim Enman. But the other way would be primarily Instagram. So for me, it's Duckman Keto. Jim?
Jim Enman Jr., Jim Enman Jr.
And Alberto.
It is at the Keto Cholo, and I'll be getting a lot more vocal on there now. One thing that I don't even know if you guys know, I'm pretty big in the IBD community with gut issues and gut diseases, and then I kid you not, I literally answer questions. The beauty of social media, I get messages literally from around the world all the time, almost on a daily basis, from people who are have stomach problems and gut issues, and see my story or see some of my posts and have questions. And I had another guy reach out to me that's part of a IBD support group, and we had our very first I guess it was kind of like a conference call. He said he wanted to do it like a support group conference call. It was his very first one ever. There's only 4 people on there. It was me, him, some young lady from the West Coast who's having a lot of problems, and he wants to kind of grow this thing, and it's not necessarily 100% keto related, but that's going to be my contribution if, I get invited back or what have you. And I did fill out an application to speak at KetoCon. Well, I don't know if I'll make the cut, because the way I look at it, there are people far more, worthy of speaking time than me. But if they give it to me, I'll take it. And my little Instagram page is about to be a lot more vocal about, what this diet can do for people and owning your own health and really stepping your personal game up, and just taking control of what you think you have no control over.
Absolutely. That's the largest key about all of this. I know that's what I gained, more than losing 50 pounds, more than getting to the point where I can actually see myself as an athlete that might actually be able to do Krav Maga, things like that. It's about getting that confidence of saying, okay, I can do this. I can control this. This is something that I can control. And sometimes you just have to control one thing, and then it leads to another thing, and then it leads to another thing. I think that's a good note to leave us on. Any other final words before we do so?
I guess the only thing would be, I would just add, as Alberto mentioned, KetoCon 2020. I know that there are a number of guys from the group, including the 3 of us, that are going to be there in Texas next year. And we would love to see you, if you are listening and you're going, even if you're not a member of the Keto Man's Club on Facebook. We'd love to track you down. By then, we will have shirts of some kind. You will know us when you see us down there. But I'm excited for the weekend to meet everybody and learn more. So I'd say if you can get it on your calendars and your budget and work schedules allow you to go, head to KetoCon next year and come meet the guys from the Keto Man's Club.
Yep, absolutely. Tickets and all the information about the event are available at ketocon.org. You can also, I'll make sure that I don't believe I put the link in the link tree yet, but I do have a special link. It doesn't really do anything for me, but it does, it does kind of link back to where you guys heard about it. So use the link tree, theketomansclub.com, and click on KetoCon. That will lead you to the website where you can look and find all the information that you would like. So that's it for this week. Until next week, make sure to eat meat, lift heavy, sleep, and repeat. Thank you for joining us for the Keto Man's Club podcast. Your support means the world to us. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Would you help us spread the word about the Keto Man's Club by sharing with your friends and family? We're available on all podcast platforms, so just search for Keto Man's Club and you'll find us. If you would like to connect with us, you can do so a number of ways. Our web address leads to our Facebook group, theketomansclub.com. That's TheKetoMansClub.com. You can also follow us on Instagram at Keto Man's Club Podcast. Lastly, if you have any comments or questions, feel free to reach out via email to ketomansclubpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you again for joining us today, and we look forward to hanging out with you again next week.